white papers don't have to be bold. And now you don't even have to read. I'm Malcolm McDowell, and I'm proud to introduce Adobe's Audio White Papers for Marketing, a collection of white papers read by me and other actors for listening pleasure. Why? Easy marketing professionals. Adobe wants to make it a little easier for you to stay informed. You can listen to the collection by tapping this. Let the learning.
We're going to get underway in just about 2 minutes.
Oh, did they do that? Okay.
Hey, Rich, if I don't get a chance to welcome you when we're live on the air, that's the first thing we'll be right now. It's getting kind of hard to see you, Devin. Okay. I see Scott's hat. We're just coordinating this with Comcast and the NHL Network, so we want to start right on time for everybody. Devin, you'll have to wave your arms wildly back there because the lights changed a little bit. So just give me a 15 and then I'll look for your gesture. Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to SAP Center in downtown San Jose, the capital of Silicon Valley. I'm Randy Hahn. We'd like to welcome those of you who are here joining us at the arena, those of you watching us in the Bay Area and around Northern California on Comcast Sportsnet California, those of you watching on our live stream on sjsharks.com, and those of you watching around the National Hockey League. At this time, I would like to introduce, for our announcement, the Executive Vice President and General Manager of the San Jose Sharks, Doug Wilson.
Thank you, Randy. First of all, thank you guys for taking the time to come here, because I'm sure a lot of you had a long night last night on the other side of the bay. And we want to start off by congratulating the Golden State Warriors with Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, the players, and what they accomplished. And we're all cheering them on. Bob's become a very good friend, and to see what they've accomplished is inspiring to us, and we're hoping that they bring the NBA championship to the Bay Area. This is an exciting day for the San Jose Sharks, as we'd like to welcome our new coach, Mr. Peter DeBoer. His wife Susan is here. They have 3 children, Abigail, Jack, and Matthew, and we want to welcome them to the Bay Area also. Peter is a guy that I've known for quite a while. I interviewed him 7 years ago. He's got one of the brightest minds in hockey. He's got a lot of the characteristics that when we built the boxes on what we thought would be the needs for this hockey team, that I could go almost one to the other to the next one and check every one of the boxes off. We also knew that going through this process of hiring a head coach, I wanted to make sure it was thorough, it was detailed, and we knew it was going to take some time. I really appreciate and want to thank all the guys that wanted to come and coach this team. We got to interview very, very bright minds, a lot of people that were out there that were very impressive. But I'll go back to, again, the 7 years ago when I met Peter. He was just coming off winning the Memorial Cup in Kitchener. He was one of the 3 finalists at that time to coach this team. The only thing that he didn't have at that time was NHL experience. And he went to Florida, actually did a great job, especially in the first year of a team that was a young team, that he got them right to the cusp of making the playoffs. From there, they had a couple of interesting challenges in Florida. I think they went through a couple of GM changes, a couple of ownership changes. But in life, you learn through those type of experiences. We call it experiential learning. Then he went off to New Jersey, did an outstanding job there, getting them to the Stanley Cup Finals. And the ability for him to take players in different environments, coach them up, get the most out of players. I like his mindset. He is a very, very bright guy on many different fronts. He's curious, he's creative, he's hard, he's fair, the things that we really think that fits this organization. I think we're almost, in some ways, whether it's karma or we're a little bit lucky, but when the head coaching position came available this year, he just so happened to be available also. And that, to me, was why he was one of the priority interviews right from the beginning. He was busy at the time going over and pursuing another gold. He brought back part of the coaching staff that brought back a gold from the World Championships, which I think was the first time since 2007, Peter, if I'm not mistaken. And that complements into the other World Juniors, gold medals from the World Juniors that he's accomplished. The other thing that we look at when we bring people in here is the ability to adapt, to integrate the rest of the staff. And we're very, very fortunate that one of the most respected men in hockey has been part of our staff, coached with Peter when he went to the Stanley Cup Finals, and that's Larry Robinson. And Larry is not only respected as a player, but as a coach. 9 Stanley Cups, 6 as a player, 3 as a coach. And his character reference and his knowledge of working side by side with Peter had a lot to do with it. Another guy that had a huge impact on us is one of the most beloved players that we've ever had here, and that's Adam Graves. And if you spend any time with Adam Graves, if you want to know about leadership, how to treat people, how to be involved in the community, and Adam was probably one of the strongest references for Peter. That meant an awful lot to us. So without taking much more time, what I'd like to do basically is just thank Peter for committing to this organization. We're extremely confident that he'll get the most out of our team and lead us back to the level of being one of the top teams in the league. So right now I'd like to introduce you to the new head coach of the San Jose Sharks, Mr. Peter DeBoer.
I want to thank Doug and the San Jose Sharks for the opportunity. It's an honor and a privilege to be the new head coach of the San Jose Sharks. Coming in here as a visiting coach for the last 7 years in the NHL, this has always been one of the most intimidating buildings in the league because of the fan base, because of the passion of the crowd, and also because of the style of play and the pressure the Sharks put on you. And we want to make sure that we get back to that this year. I can't wait to roll up my sleeves here and get to work, starting with our development camp in July and then training camp. I want to thank some of the players for coming out today. Tommy Wingles and Alex Stalock and Patrick Marlowe, just to name a few, Mike Ricci. If I missed anyone, I apologize, but I can't tell you how excited I am and ready for any questions that you might have. Okay.
Well, Peter, take a seat. We do have microphones at both sides of the room for questions from the media gathered here at SAP Center. So just raise your hand, identify yourself, and fire away. Yes, right in the back. You need the microphone.
With a team that has a veteran core and also has at least 6 players under 25 with no more than 1 full year of experience in the league, do you see this as a team with a higher goal to win now, or one that is still developing and looking more towards next year and the year beyond?
I think if you enter the San Jose Sharks organization like I am as a head coach, the expectation is to win right now, regardless of the ages or the birth certificates of the players. There's a tradition here of winning and of challenging to go deep into the playoffs, and that's my expectation. I think that's Doug's expectation, and I don't think anyone's looking for anything less than that here.
Kevin Kurz from Comcast Sportsnet.
Peter, hi, over here. Can you take us through the timeline of when you were first approached about the job, and also you were an assistant under Todd McClellan over at the World Championships? What did did that topic come up, and what did you learn from Todd about the organization?
Time frame, trying to remember, Doug, was it?
7 years.
Yeah, it was 7 years ago I first interviewed for the job. I told Doug I had a little more hair then. It's been a long road since then. But I think I met with Doug for the first time. I actually spoke to him at the World Championships when it came up, and then we had a long interview process when I returned home in Toronto after that. Working with Todd was a privilege. Good man, great coach, and I got to pick his brain a little bit, but to be honest with you, I told Doug this when I went to the interview process. I purposely didn't ask a lot of questions. I really feel as a coach I want to come in here with a clear mind and an open slate for all the players and all the staff, and really make my own decisions on what's here. So, and Todd respected that.
David Pollock with the San Jose Mercury News.
Peter, right here. Just wondering how you're a different coach now than maybe you were in 2008 when Doug talked to you, for the opening that was here then, as far as style or just temperament or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I know coming out of junior, I didn't give enough credence to experience at the NHL level. You're a young guy, you come in, you think you can coach anywhere, and I think that serves you well earlier in your career. But I've come to appreciate the value of experience in coaching. I think over the last 6 or 7 years, I've dealt with a lot of different situations, both on and off the ice, that if I didn't have that experience, some I handled well, some I didn't. You'd like to change things. It's like any business, I think experience accounts for a lot, and I'm a much better coach today than I was 3-4 years ago when we went to the Stanley Cup final, and definitely better than when I entered the league 7 years ago.
Maybe without naming names, but a little bit of a follow-up question. Can you give kind of an example of something you might have handled differently or a situation?
Boy, that's a long list. I think this is a job where you're dealt with all kinds of different situations, and I think that the one thing is I don't think you can look back and hindsight's 20/20. I think you learn going forward. So I don't have a specific one off the top of my head, but I can tell you that those experiences have served me well.
Josh DeBoer with AP. How would you assess the roster that's in place here in San Jose, and what are your impressions of it?
I'm excited. I look at that roster, and it reminds me a lot of the first year I went into New Jersey. It was a group of character guys that had been used to winning, that had fallen on some tough times. Similar to here, they'd missed the playoffs for the first time in a long time after a long history of winning. And actually, similarities in falling a little bit short in the playoffs up to that point. I think New Jersey hadn't been out of the first round in 5 or 6 years, despite some great regular season performances. So there's a lot of similarities, and what I found with the group in New Jersey that I see here is I see a group of veteran guys and young players that have hit a little bit of a rut here, and I think their true character is going to be tested, and I see enough character in that room that I see a big bounce back here.
Mark Purdy, San Jose Mercury News.
Yeah, Peter, over here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Have you had any previous occasion to be in coach or be around any of the guys on the current Sharks roster in any way? And if you could remember, you mentioned coming in here with other teams. Do you remember any specific game here that you coached against the Sharks, anything that happened?
I don't remember the year. I remember we came in here with Florida one year, and we didn't get out of our end for the first 20 minutes of the first period. I remember walking off the ice and feeling that we were in a different league, a lot lower league than the team we were playing here in San Jose. It was an intimidating feeling standing back there as a head coach of another team, and I think we want to get that back again. The other part of your question, yeah, right. Had Brent Burns at the World Championships, where he was the most valuable defenseman in the tournament. It's the second time I've had Brent at World Championships, and he's a pleasure to work with. I love his attitude, I love his energy, and he's turning himself into a world-class defenseman. I was talking to Patrick. Patrick barely remembered it, but I had him and Joe Thornton on an under-18 team. Would have been 17 years ago. We won a gold medal in Nelson, BC, if you can believe that. It's a long time ago. So Patrick and I were reminiscing a little bit about that group. I'm familiar with a lot of the other guys, particularly some of the Ontario guys, Logan Couture and Tierney and some of those guys. But I'm looking forward to meeting everybody.
Margaret Kolovich here with KLOK and KLIV Radio. Doug, how many serious candidates did you have going for this coaching, the new head coach? Was Peter really truly the only one you had at the top of your list?
No, I mean, last time we did this, I mentioned it was 21 coaches that we had interviewed, I think 7, 8 years ago. This one was not as expansive, but there was a lot of them that I had touched base with back then. But Peter, for many different reasons, was at the top of the list because of what he talked about. It's not just his hockey sense and his knowledge and all that, but the experiential things he's gone through that he talked about the last 7 years. If you want a guy that's going to be successful, check out his failures and how he handled with it and how he dealt with it. So I probably would say I talked to maybe 11, 12, without getting into any specifics. But as I say, the checklist that I was looking for, Peter was really going to be one of the standards to meet for the other candidates, and they all did a great job. But it ended up at a place that does not surprise me with Peter being our head coach.
Ross McKeon. Peter, how you doing?
Hi.
I wanted to ask you, one of the topics around here lately for discussion has been captains. And what is your philosophy on captains? What would be your process going forward?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I see when I look at the roster is a lot of leadership. That leadership goes way beyond whoever ends up with a C on their jersey. It's a deep leadership group. I'm looking forward to getting to know the group and the players. I think what I have going for me here is I'm fresh to this group. I don't have a history with them. I wasn't around for the successes or the failures. I'm looking forward to going in with a clean slate and getting to know this group, and we'll make those decisions as we go forward.
Paul Gackle Report.
Yeah.
Peter, the label puck possession gets tagged to you a lot. That can mean a lot of different things. What does it mean to you, and how does it describe your system?
Well, if you have the puck, the other team's not scoring. So, I believe the best defense is you have the puck, and preferably in the offensive zone. So I believe in pressure hockey. I think the more pressure you can put on the other team in all three zones, defensively, in the neutral zone, and in the offensive zone, the better off you're going to be. I think players want to play that way, and I think fans want to watch that type of hockey. So it's structured pressure. Make no mistake about that. You've got to be on the right side of the puck, and you can never cheat the system. But we're going to start right from day one implementing that structure and that foundation, and that's going to be the basis that's going to carry us through.
Anybody else at this point with a question from the audience? No? David?
I have one more question. It's kind of a follow-up. I know the East and Western teams don't play that often, but you've watched the Sharks under the last coach in the last several years. Is there a big difference between what you might call your system and what the players have been playing here already?
I don't know if there's a big difference. I think every coach has emphasis points and things that are important to him, and I think the players are going to realize, what's important to me as a coach on the first day of training camp, and that's going to be obvious, right from the start. So I think it's important that foundation is laid, and I don't believe in talking about playoffs or a Stanley Cup. I think you lay that foundation on the first day, and as you work through the season, those things take care of themselves if that foundation's there.
Peter, one of the over here. Sorry.
Sorry.
Kevin again. One of the maybe the biggest hurdles that this team didn't clear last year was some of the young players maybe not having the sort of impact that was expected. I know you had some mixed results with some young players in New Jersey. What did you learn from that experience, and what are the biggest keys to integrating these younger players in the league?
It's a great question. The first thing is, this is the toughest league in the world. It's the best league in the world, and it's awfully hard for young players to step into this league and make immediate impacts. At the same time, it's critical that they do, because you see the teams that are playing this time of year all are getting contributions from those guys. So I think every situation is different. I had some young players in New Jersey that had great success early. Adam Henrique came in and played right away. John Merrill, Damon Severson this year, a young defenseman, came in and was playing 22, 23 minutes a night for us. And some other young players, sometimes it doesn't come as quickly, or sometimes they need some different approaches, whether it's tough love or a step back. It's situational and individual to every player. So I'm looking forward to the youth here. I like what I see in the roster, and I like what I've seen from the game film I watched of the young guys and their contributions. But it is the toughest league in the world, and you've got to earn the right to play in it.
Mark?
Yeah, Peter again here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I understand you don't want to list specific things you maybe wish you hadn't done and stuff that you were proud of doing.
Yeah.
But how about this? Let me try this. What's the toughest decision or choice you had to make as a head coach, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah. Well, some of the toughest things I had to deal with was when you've got great players like Marty Brodeur at the end of their career, and the Corey Schneider situation that last year, that was a tough situation to deal with. And it's like anything in life. I think you can't shirk that responsibility, and there's no talking those situations right. You just deal with it head on. And actually, I thought both men handled it like professionals in a very, very tough situation. You had one guy who obviously was ready to be a starter and has proven that he's one of the best goalies in the league, and you had the greatest goalie of all time kind of on the way out. So, that was tough, but something that I felt that I handled well. I learned some lessons in dealing with that, and it makes some of the other situations you'll deal with as you go through maybe a little bit easier to handle.
Peter, the Sharks finished in the bottom third of the league last year in goals against. You've been called a defensive-minded coach before. Is that an accurate description? And do you think that you have the pieces in place to overhaul the team defense to get to where you would like it to be?
I believe team defense is a mindset. I don't think I'm a defensive coach. I think I'm a pressure coach. I believe in putting, like I said, pressure on the other team in every zone. And I believe if you have the puck you don't have to defend. But our players will know that when we don't have the puck, we have to be in the right position and we have to get it back as quickly as possible. And there'll be a structural base to that everybody has to buy into, because defense isn't a sometime thing. You can't choose to play that when you want. That's something that has to be an everyday, all-time thing.
Yes.
MJ Kasprzak, Examiner.com again. You mentioned how good this team was, how much pressure it was to play against the Sharks, but the Sharks did miss the playoffs for the first time in Doug's tenure as general manager. So what do you think is the primary thing that needs to change to make this team more successful?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, I'm going to roll up my sleeves here this summer, and I don't think there's one thing. I think there's a lot of things. I want to talk to the players. I've had some good conversations with Doug. I want to watch some more game film. I've got some ideas in my head, but I can't box it up for you in one package here. I can tell you I believe it's fixable, and the biggest thing that's going to be fixed and the most comforting thing to me is the character of this group. You've got a lot of proud people here that aren't too happy about where they were sitting at the end of last season. And my history with that is if you've got character and you've been through that, you're ready to push back. And I think we're going to see that.
Curtis.
Curtis Pashalka, Bay Area News Group. Peter, do you have a timeline as far as when you like to fill out your staff? Is that a decision you make, or you and Doug talk about it together, or?
Doug and I have already had discussions about that. He's basically, told me, what do you need? And we'll make sure that you have access to that. So it's a great environment to go into as a coach. For me, I'd like to get my staff together as quickly as possible and get some planning in place. That's your first reaction. At the same time, you have to get the right people. So we'll get started on the process right away, but we've got to make sure we get the right people around.
We will wrap up this portion of our news conference here this afternoon, and before we break for one-on-one interview opportunities, a little obligatory photo opportunity here with Doug and Peter with the Sharks jersey. In San Jose. Also, those of you watching on Comcast Sportsnet California, watching our stream live at sjsharks.com, and watching around the National Hockey League. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you in the fall.